I was really nervous about posting that, but I posted it and I closed my phone. I didn't get anything. I was like, I'll look tomorrow. I'm so blown away. Thank you so much for all the comments, and this is gonna be a really vulnerable time for me, but I really think that someone needs to hear this. This is probably gonna need to be in a couple of parts. But as a lot of you know, most of you know, if you don't know me, I'm a tanner. I am, I make country music, and I was adopted. The things that I knew were that I was born in Lexington, Kentucky. You know, a lot of the things I didn't know until much later, but I found out as a teenager that I was the product of an affair, that my birth mom had a husband and kids, and when he was deployed had an affair and kept me and placed me for adoption. I was adopted by a family that had already adopted 2 boys, so my older brothers, and were members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or the Mormon Church. That in itself is like a whole other story, but I was always very different especially from my adopted mom. I really felt like nobody understood me, and I just wanted to know why I looked this way, why I loved to dance and sing, and it felt like sometimes I wished that I had a mom that I really related to. I think this is something that is hard to understand unless you have experienced something like this, or especially if you're adopted, that there's always a little bit of feeling abandoned and like you were given away, like maybe you're not worth as much. I struggled with that. I really struggled with that. And I love painting my nails and doing my hair and doing my makeup in my bedroom. And my adopted mom is, we have an amazing relationship now, but it was not easy for a long time. And I always say I'm like Free People. She's like Ralph Lauren. Like, she would agree. But there were a lot of times that I just felt alone, and I would go to this place and envision what my mom, my birth mother, looked like and smelled like, and that was a safe place that I would go. I didn't know much about my birth family or their situation, or my birth mom's situation, and it always scared me a little bit. I just had these dreams of when I would finally meet her and find out, who she was. I always saw my friends, my girlfriends, as a teenager, having friends that were so tight with their moms. It was like so obvious, and I knew that there was just something different, and some sort of like chemistry, just some sort of biological connection that I didn't have, and I wanted that. So, and I'll probably stop this video right here. 1 year for Christmas, when I was like 17, maybe. My parents got us all, I have 5 or 4 siblings. We're all adopted, none of us are like blood related. They got us all ancestry DNA kits for fun, see where we came from, you know. And then I'm just gonna, so picking up where I left off, me and all my adopted siblings got ancestry DNA kits for Christmas, and all of my like DNA came back, and I just was, you know, there wasn't any like family connections made, and there was nothing like too crazy. So I deleted the app, and you know what I mean, I felt like I know where I come from now, cool. So I deleted the app. I didn't even know that it was connected to my email. I feel like I didn't even know that I had an email. I'm gonna go back just to before that for a little bit of context. I tried to find my dad on Facebook. I had known his name because when I was 16, I got a birthday present from him, and I didn't know, that's a whole story too, but I didn't recognize the name, and my adopted mom told me who he was, so I knew his name. So I went on Facebook and I searched him up and found a guy that I thought was him from just a few pictures that I had seen, and I literally just sent a friend request, nothing else. And like 2 minutes later, he messaged me and was like, I've been like waiting for you to turn 21, you're not 21 yet. Like, that was when your parents and I agreed that like I could contact you. I found out he had been living like not even 40 minutes away from me basically my whole life. At this time, I think I was really young. I just never, it wasn't anything that I wanted to pursue really. It was like we would catch up a couple times a year, but I didn't meet him. So by this point, I had deleted my ancestry DNA and I had found my dad, and now I'm like a few years later. This email from Ancestry DNA just said that I had a message waiting for me from someone. He said, hey, my name is blank. I'll say Joe. Hey, my name is Joe, and I think you're my sister. And by this point, I had known from finding my dad that, you know, this was information that I didn't find out through my adopted parents, and maybe I wasn't supposed to like fully know about, but I had known from talking to my dad that there had been an affair. And I think actually one of my brothers, one of my adopted brothers, also had told me that he remembered when he was younger that there had been an affair, and I was that baby. So it wasn't like absolutely shocking to see a message like that. I just was like, oh yeah, like I remember hearing that I had like half siblings out there, and he left his phone number, and so I texted him, and oh my gosh, we should do a video together so you can hear his side of the story. It's crazy. It turns out he had been looking for me for most of his life and had tried literally every DNA test that he could get his hands on, and Ancestry DNA was the last one left that he did, and finally found me. So we got on the phone and we're like, I had never seen someone that looked like me, and so we're sending pictures of like our hands to each other. I was like, we have the same hands. And so I was like, are your ears really small? His ears are so small. And I was like, oh, my ears are so tiny, like all these little things. He was like, do you have a freckle on like the inside of your, is it my right or my left? I think it's my left, of your right thigh. And he was like, we all have it. Like it was like amazing. So we started just looking at our family tree together, and we're looking at it, and there are these things called centimorgans on Ancestry DNA, and basically they're just like Ancestry DNA's way of giving you numbers that tell you how like related you are to a person. So the higher your centimorgans are, the like more related you are to them. So we're looking at our centimorgans and realizing that they're like pretty high. Like I don't know the specifics, but like half siblings are like 2,000 centimorgans. Like your uncle's like 600 centimorgans. It's kind of like that. And we were like past 3,000, which is weird. So we're looking at our family tree, and my brother notices that we share an uncle on his dad's side, his dad's brother. So my birth mother's husband. And we just kind of sat there, and it's really all a blur, but realized that we were full siblings somehow. We assumed that my birth mother must have already been pregnant with me by her husband before she had an affair, and mistakenly assumed that I must have been from this other man. So obviously, the first thing that I asked was like, do you think she knows? Like, what is this gonna be like? Like, what is happening? Can I meet her? Does she know you found me? Like, what's going on? I'm at 7 minutes, so I'm gonna do part 3. This is part 3 of my adoption story. And this one's gonna be the hardest. Picking up where I left off, my first question was, does she know that you found me? Do you think she knows about that we're actually full siblings, that she didn't need to give me away? That's when he told me that she'd passed away 5 years before he was able to find me. At the time, I was very shy. I had just now met my full brother, and I was very composed on the phone. That was it, and I moved on, and I just asked for pictures. So I've never seen her. I just want to know what she looks like. And he sent me this picture. My jaw dropped. Just how beautiful she was. And I immediately said, she looks like Dolly Parton. And he said that she got that all the time. And she loved her blue eyeshadow. And this sent me in. I kind of went into a spiral, and I deep dive on Dolly Parton. I tried to find everything that I could about her, in every interview, any movies that she had been in, all of her performances, and I knew about her and her biggest songs, but I really became a Dolly Parton fan, and it felt like it was the only way I could see my mom alive. It was like a live version of her. I learned so much from her in that time. And something that really stuck with me was the first song, and I didn't know this, the first song that Dolly Parton had that kind of broke her career. I think it was like her first song on the radio, and it was called Dumb Blonde. She basically just saying she's gonna have the last laugh and don't mind me, I'm just a dumb blonde, when she was outsmarting everyone. Now I've always had these big natural streaks of blonde in my hair from the sun. Even as a kid, when I was really little, people would ask my parents if they were dyeing my hair, because my hair's so blonde when I'm in the sun a lot. I didn't know how big a piece of my identity the color of my hair was until I moved to Nashville, and I wasn't at the beach a whole lot anymore, and I started seeing my roots growing. But it felt like I was losing some sort of connection to my mom after seeing these pictures of her. She was so blonde. And after seeing these pictures of her and how obsessed I was with watching Dolly Parton, it felt like this little connection that I had to her, that came from her. And then I saw a little bit of her in the hair that was growing out of my head. That was hers. And I could not stop thinking about Dumb Blonde. I was like, damn, I wish I wrote that. But I started to realize how blonde hair felt like protection, like from my mom. It felt like she's there with me. And that was when I was like, oh, I'm going blonde. I made my first ever hair coloring appointment. I got my hair done. I went blonde. And it gave me this idea to write a song that sounds like it could be fun, but instead of, blondes have more fun, and blonde is like this symbol of like, it's bombshell blonde and sexy, that it would be the inside reason, my introspective reason of why I try to keep my hair as close to those pictures that I've seen of my mom. Well, about a year before I wrote Going Blonde, I had a very discouraging phone call with someone who was attempting to manage me at the time. They had called me drunk, calling me a shit songwriter, telling me that I couldn't write my own music, and telling other songwriters around town that I needed people to write songs for me. That was also crushing because I had been writing songs since I was 8. And I thought this person had more experience than me, so I should listen to them. And I didn't write a single song. For a year, I didn't write anything myself. I was scared. And I had this idea for going blonde, and I just was thinking, who should I write it with? Who should I write it with? When I didn't need to write it with anybody. It was just me and my mom. I didn't think she was there. And I can do a whole story time on how I wrote it, because I've never written a song like that before in my life, and it's never happened again. It was the weirdest thing, how this song wrote itself. I wrote this 4 years ago, and I didn't know if I would ever want anyone ever to hear it. But I'm realizing that there's a lot of people that have lost someone and try to keep anything you can to keep them close to them. And that's really what this song is about. So I think I'm ready. And I want this, I want people to know that you're not alone, and it's okay. It's okay to grieve. So I'm gonna be releasing Going Blonde this Friday. It was for me, and now it's for you. Thank you, you guys. And this is called Going Blonde. I've had to restart a couple of times. I think this is the one. Eyes like the ocean, a couple of tattoos, hair smelling like lavender drugstore shampoo. She'll read you your fortune for a couple of dollars, heal you with crystals and trailer park water. I've only heard stories, only seen pictures, but she's safe in my mind, and until I meet her, I'm going blonde and I'm never going back. Yeah, blonde like the mama that I never had. She knew what she wanted, she'd give you hell. She was flirty and gorgeous, but tougher than nails. At least that's what I always thought. So I'm going blonde.